We are from Riverland Christian Academy and will be performing King Saul by Tanis Harps. In the newly royal-run system, murderous offenses are considered especially heinous. In the country of Israel, the dedicated authorities who investigate these sins are members of an elite squad who still remain unknown. These are their stories.
What do we have here?
King Saul. He has a few arrow wounds, but outside a large sword in his chest, he died his large punctured wound.
This did happen in the middle of a battlefield.
But was it a righteous killing?
We'll have to follow the money, or in this case, the line of power.
This is the home of Samuel's old friend. If anyone gives King Saul's background, it's him. He may be a suspect.
There be motive. Prophets used to run things until their power was taken away. First by the judges, now by the king.
You're the friend of the prophet Samuel?
Could you tell us about Samuel's involvement with the deceased?
Well, there's never really supposed to be a king, but the people of Israel really wanted one. God explained to Samuel that they weren't rejecting him as their leader, they were really rejecting God. They just want to be like all the other countries, even if it meant having to work harder and pay more taxes.
Could you say that the prophet could benefit from Saul's death?
Hardly. I know the king would just take his place.
What about Samuel's sons?
His sons were good-for-nothing judges who were justice. The people refused to put up with that. God ultimately has all the power anyway, and the true prophet takes all their direction from God.
Think Saul made a good king?
Saul was from the Benjamites, the smallest tribe in Israel. He started out as a humble guy and led by God. The people respected and feared him well enough. Sadly, power went to his head. Pride took over. Saul started doing things without consulting God or the prophet Samuel. Kind of lost it, if you ask me. Fortunately, his son, Jonathan, won a few battles despite all this, but it was tough going.
Okay, thanks. We need to question the son.
He also died in battle along with the brothers. But there is at least one son who's still alive. Son of Saul?
Yeah, that king is rejected here.
Quite right. I'm sorry for your loss, although you don't look too torn up about it.
Hey, it was Abner that did it, bring me here and make me king. Believe me, I could have done that ahead.
You mean the headache from all this power you just acquired?
Trust me, I'm already yes.
We need to ask a few questions. What kind of relationship did you have with your father?
Me? Not bad, I guess.
What about home life in general?
Well, I have to be honest. It was kind of tough time. Dad once was gonna have Jonathan killed just for eating honey. Jonathan had no idea that Dad had made an oath for him and all the soldiers not to eat anything that day until he got to do it. Fortunately, the men convinced Dad to change his mind. But then, after the prophet Samuel told Dad that God had rejected him as king, his anger went way out. Especially after dinner on one of the days that he was king.
So your father had anger management issues.
Didn't help that they decided to win more and more battles. Put that to him. Dad was blind to be illustrated. Then he tried to kill him. Stuff like that.
You mean you tried to kill David?
That's right. David eventually went into hiding.
Any idea where David is now?
Abner, my army.
Abner, commander of King's army.
Tell us, what would you gain from King Saul's death?
Why don't you tell me?
How about the opportunity to handpick the next king? Let's just say a young king who you can easily manipulate. This would give you a lot more power.
Didn't kill King Saul, but I saw the whole thing.
Why didn't you report this?
No one asked me.
Well, we're asking now. Was it David?
No, but they would have had a just cause. Saul was determined to kill David. Saul had us chasing David all around the countryside. Twice, David had the opportunity to take out Saul, and rather does. David refused to
that as an excuse, but whatever. Any idea where David is now?
Once David fled into the land of the Philistines, Saul gave up the chase, and Saul gave it again.
So what happened?
The battle is what happened. Saul had focused on that instead. The Philistines attacked Israel and concentrated their efforts on King Saul and his sons. They killed 3 of the sons and wounded Saul as they were closing in real fast. Saul asked the conqueror to help.
An assisted suicide? Are you sure?
He didn't stand a chance. I couldn't get to him. Too much battle actually going on all around me. The armor bearer made it up, though. That's making suspicion, believe it or not.
David? King David? You're a hard man to find. I've been busy.
You mean on the run?
I have a lot of enemies.
Tell me, one of those enemies happened to be King Saul?
He had some issues with me, but I try not to take it personally. I respected his position as king. He had and got anointed after all.
Even though you were also anointed as king and rightly had the position?
Maybe you got tired of waiting for Saul to die, so you could just take the throne and the power.
Not really. I fully trusted that when it was my time, God would provide the way. Ultimately, God has all the power.
But you had motive, you had opportunity.
Oh, I had an opportunity several times.
So we heard. Well, you could have hired a hitman, let's say Sergeant Armor Bearer.
King Saul's armor bearer. He came to tell me that King Saul was dead and that he had helped kill Saul.
Where's this armor bearer now?
I had to execute him. No one has the right to kill the Lord's anointed.
Can you just do that?
That'd be a righteous kill. And not only is he king, but he's a king who follows and obeys God.
Well, case closed then. Saul's armor bearer was the murderer, and by David's hand, righteous justice has been served.